All right, we are back to our first example if statement with the numbers, because now we're going to be talking about a concept that goes hand in hand with if statements, else statements. Now, you guys might remember us doing over here this little print statement that goes after the if statement, and it'll run regardless of whether this condition is true or not. But what if I wanted a condition to only run when this condition over here, this if statement, wasn't true? Well, I could write another if statement if num b not equal to num a, but then we're making our computer do all the work of checking this whole statement again, seeing if it evaluates to true or false. Because remember, Python doesn't usually take shortcuts unless you tell it to. It's going to do everything. So when you take shortcuts, Python still has to go the long way around. But surely there's still something we can do, and there is. We can use an else statement. Now, an else statement is a block of code that will run if an if statement isn't true. Now, the way you write an else statement is actually way, way simpler than an if statement. Let me put this down here. Yeah, I'll put it down here. Instead of doing if and then a whole condition, all we do is write the word else in all lowercase and then use a colon, just like we did up here. And remember to be careful with your indentation. Always make sure there is a space or a tab. It'll do it for you automatically on Online Python. So just make sure you have that. If you ever start after an if statement or an else statement from the next line, you know that something probably went wrong. So check your else or if statement and make sure you have that colon in there. But now we can go inside the else statement and we can print, let me say num b is equal to num a. Alright, now we can go over here and print num b is not, let me capitalize that for emphasis, equal to num a. Now, if we run this, we are actually going to get num b is equal to num a because they're equal right now. And I'm also just going to comment out this print statement for a little bit. But let's say they weren't equal to each other. Now, we'd run this if statement. Num b is not equal to num a. And if we had the all done statement still there, it would still run because it's not part of the whole if else block. But that is how you use an else statement. But be careful. If your else statement is not directly after an if statement, so say we moved our else statement down here and we try to run it, we are actually going to get a syntax error. It's usually totally fine for an if statement to run on its own, but remember, with an else, we're not specifying any conditions. It's just kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. So we'd have to go and put it back together over here. But yeah, as you can see, num b is not equal to num a, is what our else statement does. Let me update this definition a little just to keep that information. Only works, I'll go lowercase, only works right after an if statement. But yes, that is an else statement in Python.